Arizona's Route 66, a legendary highway now haunted by the echoes of its past. We're exploring the abandoned ghosts on this historic road. These aren't spirits of people, but the silent remains of businesses, dreams, and a bygone era. Join us as we uncover the stories left behind on this forgotten stretches of Route 66. Route 66, the mother road, even now echoes of a golden era linger. We're in Valentine, Arizona, a place where the echoes whisper strongest. Valentine boomed during Route 66 arrived in 1926. Travelers sought spots like Bert's Country Dancing, where the nights are filled with music and laughter. Now just a sign and a closed building remain, a ghost of those truly lively times. But it's a fun stop to go along there. But just down the road, the Chief's Motel stands silent. Imagine families stopping in the 50s and 60s, drawn by the promise of rest. Today it's faded back into the desert, whispering the stories of a bygone highway, long forgotten. And then there's the old school building, the Truxton Canyon Indian Trading School. This landmark served Valentines for years. It stands as a memory and reminder of the layers of history along Route 66. Valentine, Arizona, small town bypass, yet rich with stories. And now we're at Lupton, Arizona. See an old gas station that is now closed down on an old trading post. Even though there's many active places in the area, these are a few of the ghosts of Route 66. And under the overpass on the other side, we come across a once popular gas station, now empty and deserted, taken to the elements and graffiti. Now we're in Ashfork, Arizona on Route 66. This is the Yavapai trading post. This place is definitely abandoned. You look closely, you see the sign. When I start looking, you'll see the buildings, doors missing, windows busted out. Definitely abandoned. But it kind of still tells you the history of Route 66, or US Highway 66 as it was. You can just see the shell of what it once was. Can you imagine it be greeting families and kids? This is where you'd stop in Ashfork. And this was the motels that you're coming right down old US Highway 66. I believe, I'm not sure if this was the one. One of these had a gas station in front at one point. And it must have been quite something to look at back in the day. But now it's definitely abandoned, and I think it might be condemned, but I don't know. But it's still part of the history. And that's what's so, I love all the open and new stuff, and there's a lot of old stuff that's been revived, but sometimes there's the stuff of the past, and it just kind of reminds you of what was once here. Take a look around. I just want to kind of give you a glimpse. Can you imagine it? Like I said, just filled with cars and trucks and people everywhere. It'd be pretty amazing back in its day, I bet. And just so you know, all this was taken from the sidewalk. I'm not walking on people's private property either, so. But anyway, now check out our next place. You ever watched the movie Fort Courage or F Troop? Well, we're heading there next, so check this out. Step back in time on Route 66 into the Wild West. This ain't no F Troop mirage, folks. This is Fort Courage, abandoned and baking under the Arizona sun. Will we find Wrangler Jane or Chief Wild Eagle lurking in the shadows? Maybe even a misplaced cannonball? Grab your canteen and follow me as we explore this forgotten outpost, if you've got the guts. So this little town on Route 66, right? And unlike a lot of the other towns along that road, it never got really big. It was just kind of a small place with a trading post, a gas station, and a little grocery store. That's what it was. The main place they used to call White Mound Trading Post. It even had a town's post office inside from 1924 to about 1946. But then in 1958, they built Interstate 40, and that kind of killed the old US Highway 66 or Route 66. And you know how everybody wanted to drive faster on the new highway, and 2 years later, the White Mound Trading Post shut down. Now this is the Amoco gas station. Just kind of walking around. I mean, it's just I don't know. Seeing a past of Route 66 is kind of intriguing. I mean, there's so much on Route 66 that's active and everything, but some of the abandoned stuff is pretty unique too. You'll see a little later on, they actually have a whole fort here that was actually built up. This is just kind of the remains of the gas station. A lot of graffiti, which I'm not big on, but unfortunately it kind of is what it is. Now, this is the pancake house that they had here. And so basically this was all rebuilt. The innermost parts in 1960, someone built a brand new trading post on the same spot. And this is where they called it Fort Courage, just like the old TV show F Troop. It's pretty much kind of a knockoff, but hey, it works. And it was designed to look like the fort on the show, which is kind of cool. New place had everything from a coffee shop to a restaurant, gas station, grocery store, and a gift shop. And of course, the trading post. They sold all kinds of things, Native American stuff like jewelry, rugs, souvenirs. They even had motel rooms, a place for trailers, and a campground. And you can see a lot of the remains here of a lot of the stuff. But like a lot of things, it didn't last. Unfortunately, by 2010, the motel rooms had been turned into apartments, and there were old cars parked everywhere. And then by 2014, the whole place was just closed down for good. So now it's just kind of just an abandoned traction on Route 66. Kind of sad, but it's also a piece of history. Kind of just faded away, but you know, it's still here for us to look at. I mean, here you can kind of, through the broken glass, see a little bit of, I don't know, I figure this had to be part of the trading post or something in there. Not quite sure what, but I don't know, just kind of exploring on the outside. I never go into buildings or anything like that, but just looking around, and it's really unique in what you find out here. I mean, that, you know, Route 66, part of the abandoned and forgotten places on Route 66 are some of the beauty of it too. I mean, where else are you going to find a life-size fort? It might be bigger than life-size. I mean, we're going to walk up here and I want to show you the fort part, which is, I think, the coolest part. They did have a fire that burned down a fair amount of it, one of the other towers, but they were able to save one of them. And F Troop was actually what it was based off of. That was a show that was 1965 to 1967. This is the neatest part, I think. Now, there's one of the buildings that burned down during the fire they had. It had some arson a while back. But there is one tower remaining. Some of the fencing's fallen down. But there's a charm to it. It's just kind of a feeling. You're walking around. It's kind of like you're walking into the past a little bit. This is some of the stuff that's like Americana. I mean, where else are you going to be able to check out an abandoned fort? It just gets out front and take a look at it. I mean, that thing's huge. I don't know how tall it is, but that thing's at least 40 foot tall. And this is some of the stuff that's on Route 66. There were all these attractions, roadside attractions, the people. That's part of the charm of this whole place. And I just really enjoy going up and down. I own a store in Seligman, like I said, over there on Route 66. But I just love discovering all these other places to see. I mean, this thing is huge. Look at that tree. I mean, there's the doorway. The doorway's got to be 6.5 feet tall. And look how tall this building is when you compare it. It's huge. I mean, could you imagine yourself as a kid going to the top of that, looking out over everything? I mean, you'd feel like you're in a Wild West movie. And that's what I love about US Highway 66 or Route 66. There's beauty in what's available. There's tons of roadside attractions, a lot of stuff to see, but there's also some of the abandoned parts, and you need to get out there and see them. They may not be around forever. I mean, you can see this fence was up about a year ago or two. It was fine. Now it's down, unfortunately, but it's also America. It's really kind of what American travel is all about. This is looks like a, well, one more time we'll take a look. Look at this cloud, so it's just beautiful, but I'm always just walking around trying to see what I could discover. This is, I think this would be like a Houck, I think they would call it. And it's a shame that there's graffiti and different things, but I can still appreciate what's here, what this thing was like. They were probably having, actually, they probably had selling blankets, trinkets, and all sorts of fun stuff out here. But that was the charm. You never knew the next stop when you were on Route 66. Rolling down a quiet stretch of historic Route 66 in Arizona, we're immersed in the natural beauty of the landscape. Towering pines line the road, whispering stories of a time when the highway hummed with life. We're in Bellemont, Arizona, and pulling off the road, we find a place frozen in time, the gas station made famous by the film Easy Rider. This rustic landmark surrounded by Arizona pines stands as a silent testimony to the road's rich history. It's a powerful glimpse into the past where the spirit of freedom still lingers in the air. See the cool old car there? Got the gas pump, and you look inside, you'll even see more artifacts. And they even have an RV campground in the back, and even see the truck in the backside there. A lot of cool stuff to look at. And next, we're just outside of Oatman, Arizona. This was originally called Gold Road. These are the ruins of old mining camp. You'll see one of the old buildings. If we look on the other side, you'll see a couple of the other buildings here. Just kind of a fun place to look at stuff. It's not really a place to pull over and stop, but just want to kind of give you a view of it. I mean, this is the history of the Mother Road, the history of Oatman, and a lot of these other places. And it's just kind of neat to see the ghosts of the past. And next, we're heading to Seligman, Arizona. This is an old Phillips 66 gas station. This is on Truxton Road. It's just outside of town. If you start taking the turn off for Truxton Road, which is old Route 66 still. And you can see this gas station. This is private property now, but it was a Phillips gas station at one point. Or it's the last time it was open, I believe it was a Phillips anyway. But it's pretty cool just seeing the history of, you know, my understanding is a lot of these Route 66 towns, they'd have anywhere from 10 to 15 gas stations. That's just how busy a lot of them were. Now, this bridge is just outside of Seligman. Now, this was never a Route 66 bridge, I believe, but I do believe it might have been the BO Wagon Road. It's pretty cool, and I'm on Route 66 while we look at this thing. It's just kind of fun to see some of the history of it. Now, here we're in Winslow, Arizona, and there's not too much abandoned. There's a little bit, but this was an old rock shop that was on Route 66. It's a little bit past the downtown area. And it's just kind of cool. I saw they have the rocks written on the roof, and I decided to take a little walk about. This is still part of the history of Route 66. This is a ghost of the past. Now, I see the graffiti on there, and honestly, that makes me sad. I hate to see that stuff. It's just, I wish they wouldn't happen. But that's probably just a discussion for another time. But just to look at this building, I mean, it's evidently was like a trading post or a rock trading post. Wouldn't be surprised. Holbrook had lots of petrified wood and stuff like that with the Petrified Forest National Park. So it wouldn't surprise me if they actually sold lots of petrified wood and lots of different stuff like that in the area. But this was definitely a tourist stop on the way when you were in Winslow, Arizona. Like I said, I wasn't finding a lot of, Winslow has a ton of stuff. There wasn't a lot of the ghosts of the old road, I should say. Not a lot of closed and abandoned stuff that I saw in Winslow. A couple things earlier on, but not too much. Okay, now right now we're cruising along old Route 66. This is a dead end section. We went all the way out, I don't know, probably 8-9 miles, quite a ways out. and it turned into a one lane. Even though it's technically two lane, you can actually kind of see the yellow lines. Now I think they kind of have redone this a little bit, but the width looks like it's appropriate. The old days, the widths were just not that wide as far as for cars and trucks and stuff like that. Matter of fact, I've heard stories a lot of times on social media when I've talked to people that a lot of times if a bigger truck came by, you had to get completely off the road just so they could get by. But I wanted to go ahead, and this is out by this place right here is between basically Twin Arrows and Winona. You turn off on the Winona exit actually, and you can take this out. You gotta take a dirt road. But right now, then we're gonna come up, and this is the Winona Bridge. And don't forget Winona. Well, this is Winona, so don't blink here. But it's pretty cool. That bridge is really fun. That's Walnut Creek Bridge. And I think I've got one more for you. There we go. A lot of fun there. Very cool stuff. And hope you enjoy it.
Now this here is Ed's Camp, a true Route 66 legend. This place was the stomping grounds of Lowell Ed Egerton, a fellow shrouded in mystery and tall tales. They say he was a miner, a doctor, a geologist, and he even cured himself of cancer. Ed's Camp was his oasis in the desert, just outside of Oatman, Arizona. When I drove by, I even passed a baby burro with his mama walking beside the road, which is a very special treat for me. Ed's Camp on Route 66 was a place where travelers could pitch a tent or sleep in their cars. And for those who wanted a little luxury and had a little more cash, there was a screen porch where they might sleep on a cot. Now, they even sold water by the bucketful. Ed's gone now, but his camp stands still, frozen in time, an abandoned road relic in memory of U.S. Highway 66.
Frontier Motel, built in 1952, stands as a classic Route 66 icon. Step back, it's 1952. Its creator, Alice Wright, was said to have been guided by a clairvoyant to build her motel and cafe exactly 400 miles from her Los Angeles home. In 1957, Ray and Mildred Barker, key figures in Truxton history, took ownership. They also ran the gas station and apartments across the road. Though the motel and cafe closed in 2011, the signs remain the beloved photo stop for Route 66 enthusiasts. Look at this, you got Will Rogers Highway, historic Route 66, the Beale Ragan Road. That was the first road that was coming through here, and then it became the Old Trails Highway. There's so much history here. You step back and just see America as it was back in the day, and enjoy the road trips. This is where you can unwind, have memories of when you were a kid in the back of the car, mom and dad were driving down the road, and you didn't know what you were going to see on the trip. You were probably asking, are we there yet? But that's just the beauty of all these places. You'll never know what you're going to find around the next corner, what excitement, what places to eat at, what food, the history. There's a cafe there. It's been closed for quite a while, but it's still very cool. This motel sign is awesome. In 1961, the Enco brand was introduced at Humboldt stations in Arizona. Not sure where this station was located, but somewhere in Truxton. Hey, Big Mike here, and we are in Truxton. It's the Truxton Cafe right behind me. I hope you can see it. And I'm going to do a little video here. Pretty cool place. It's the Truxton Cafe, the abandoned remains about the time when Route 66 was bypassed or U.S. Highway in 1978, these places often became almost a ghost town. But time has taken its toll on Truxton. The Truxton Cafe, once a bustling diner, now stands silent. Once customers laughed and enjoyed a hot coffee and pie, there only the silence remains. Over here, the Barker Apartments, once home to locals and travelers, are now empty shells. See the sign here that talks about it. If you look behind it, even the Bell gas station, with its fading sign, tells a story of the changing brands and a dwindling customer base. These abandoned buildings are like ghosts, whispering tales of a vibrant past. The ghosts of Route 66 to the survivors. But Truxton's story isn't about just decline. Amid the ghosts, there are survivors. The Truxton service station, once a Whiting Brothers operation, continues to keep the spirit of 66 alive. The current owners have preserved the station's vintage charm while offering modern amenities, ensuring that Truxton remains a welcoming stop for travelers. This resilience is a testament to the enduring power of the Mother Road. This is Orlando Motel. Jerome and Mary Orlando built the Orlando Motel in the mid-1960s and owned it to the late 1970s or early 80s. It stands on the west end of Truxton, Arizona. Now, I do want to say that the new owner, I'm very excited. I don't know if it's Daniel's moving in storage. I saw something that said Tom's on the sign. I'm not sure what that was about. But they've done a nice job of keeping these old classic trucks and these old semis out front and just helping people relive the spirit of Route 66. And I really did want to thank the owners of the Orlando Motel for doing that. I believe it is a private residence right now, I believe. This is across the street. And this is my question of the day. If you know what this place was at one point, let me know in the comments, please. We're trying to find out. Next, we're at Peach Springs, Arizona, and we are taking a look at this is the John Osterman gas station. It's being completely restored. It's in the process of it, and I'm very excited to see stuff like this happening. This is a ghost of Route 66 being brought back to life. This time we're in Peach Springs, Arizona, checking out the Osterman gas station. Back in Route 66 heyday, this place was hopping with travelers, cars, and trucks pulling in all day long and night. But like so many spots along the Mother Road, it faded in the background when the interstate came through. The good news is this station is getting a new lease on life. The Wallapai tribe, who has a deep connection to this place, are working hard to restore it. They even scored a grant from the historic Route 66 Association of Arizona. That's awesome. The station has seen a lot of history, built sometime between 1929 and 1932, from a Sears and Roebuck's kit to true testament to the ingenuity of time. It's been closed for several decades now, especially when stuff was bypassed in '78. But thanks to the tribe's efforts and that grant money, it's getting a much needed makeover after a windstorm did some damage. This place is a National Register of Historic Places landmark, and it's inspiring to see people bring it back to its former glory. It's a reminder that Route 66 story is still being written, and places like this deserve to be preserved for generations to come. Peach Springs is located between basically Seligman, Arizona and Kingman on old Route 66 or historic Route 66. It's just neat to look at what was done. I mean, the brickwork. You can see the front office there. I believe they're going to be setting it up where it can sell all sorts of gifts and the local tribe, and just kind of a fun place to be when it's maybe finally restored. Check out this next.
Just off of exit 333, Chambers, Arizona, a ghost of Route 66 pass stands defiant against the relentless march of time. The Minyard feed store and garage, once a bustling hub for travelers and locals alike, now sits abandoned, destroyed by graffiti and time. A stark reminder of the highway's ever-changing landscape. Once a stop on Route 66, this building has witnessed generations come and go. The gas pumps are long gone, the feed store shelves empty, but the stories linger, etched into the very walls. Today, the Minyard feed and store and garage is a testament to the transient nature of life on Route 66. It's a poignant reminder that even the busiest of crossroads can fall silent, leaving only echoes of the past to haunt the windswept plains.
A journey where all hop along Route 66 discovering hidden gems and forgotten treasures. We'll start our journey by encountering some of the ghosts of the road. These abandoned places whisper tales of a bygone era. We'll visit Howdy Hank's trading post you see behind you with its wooden teepee and learn about its fascinating history. Let's step back in time and picture Howdy Hank's in its prime. Imagine families eagerly pulling off Route 66, the kids excitedly pointing at the giant teepee with Howdy Hank and his horse perched on the top. Back then, it was Hopi Village. Later it became Howdy Hank's, a bustling trading post where you could cool off in a pool with the purest waters of Route 66, according to the ads. Grab a bite and browse for authentic Native American jewelry. It was more than a stop, it was an experience, a vibrant slice of Americana on the Mother Road. Howdy Hank's began his journey as Hopi Village in the 1940s. By 1950s, it evolved into Howdy Hank's Hopi Village Indian Store and Cafe, becoming a must-stop destination, offered a unique roadside experience, complete with a swimming pool and the iconic wooden teepee. Great stop. This is actually on the next exit, just past Jackrabbit Trading Post. That would be east of the Jackrabbit Trading Post. Now, across the road, adding to the roadside buzz, was Red Arrow Camps. While perhaps less documented in the official records, Red Arrow Camps was a campground where families traveling Route 66 could set up camp for the night, park a trailer, tent. There was also a playground. Cindy, the current owner of the Jackrabbit Trading Post, remembers playing there as a child. Though information on this place is scarce, the remnants remain. A sign hinting at its past, wooden ruins scattered about, and in just a second, there's even an old swing where kids once played, with picnic tables, campgrounds, campfires burning, and families sharing stories under the Arizona stars. Another layer to the memories of Route 66 in Joseph City. But as the years rolled on and the traffic shifted to the faster interstate, places like Howdy Hank's and Red Arrow Camps begin to fade. Today, if you visit the site of Howdy Hank's, you can still see the teepee and hints of the colorful past. Across the road, the quiet remains of the Red Arrow Camps whispering their own stories. They stand as a poignant reminder of the ghosts of the road, whispering tales of a time when Route 66 was the undisputed main street of America.
My grandpa built that in 1970, the early 70s.
Okay.
And it was a Texaco, and when this was a Texaco, my granddad had it. This Jackrabbit was.
Okay.
And when my dad took this over, he turned it into 76, and my granddad built the Texaco down the street.
Okay.
And that was early 70s, and that's when we had been bypassed already. We got bypassed in 67, and he was in the state senate. And he saw the bypass coming and was able to somehow work a deal to get the exit off. And so people would have a place, because between Joseph City, Holbrook really, and Winslow, there was nowhere. There was no really anything anymore, because all the gas stations had been bypassed. Had to get either Holbrook or nothing, Winslow or nothing, because there was nothing in between. But we got a gas station, and and he had an RV park, the Jackrabbit RV.
Then there was what was the campground? Was that yours?
That was the campground. That was his. Yep, the Jackrabbit RV.
What was his name?
Glenn Blansett.
Okay.
Yeah, Glenn Blansett, and then the original owner that started Jackrabbit was Jim Taylor, Jim and Inez Taylor.
Okay.
So they had it leased most of its time to the Robinsons until my granddad leased and then bought. So
cool.
Yeah.
The Mother Road, starting right here in Twin Arrows. Now look at this. It's hard to believe this place was once buzzing with life. You see that single arrow standing there? That used to be a pair, pointing folks to a real busy spot. This wasn't always just a place to snap a photo and move on. You know, this place started out as the Canyon Padre Trading Post back in the late 1940s. Now, this was a time when Route 66 was the lifeblood of travel across America. For World War II, folks were hitting the road looking for adventure, looking for a piece of the American dream, and places like this popped up all along the highway catering to those travelers. Named after that beautiful Canyon Padre Gorge nearby, the trading post was trying to capture the classic Route 66 vibe. But to be honest, business was slow, real slow. It was a tough time to be a small business owner, even on a popular highway. Then someone had the bright idea they changed the name to Twin Arrows, likely inspired by that wild town we're heading to later, Two Guns. They added a service station too, realizing that every traveler needed gas and supplies. And those iconic wooden arrows, they were built to guide motorists right to the trading post, a real eye-catcher. It was a classic example of roadside marketing, you know, like trying to get folks to pull over and spend a little money. But, like so many things along Route 66, progress changed everything. When Interstate 40 came along, it was a giant vacuum cleaner, sucking all the traffic away. Folks took the fast lane and Twin Arrows was left behind, a casualty of progress. By 1995, it was abandoned, left to the elements. Now, the land itself is owned by the state of Arizona, but the buildings, they belong to the Hopi tribe. And you know, it just breaks my heart to see the state of it now. I mean, look at these buildings covered in graffiti. It's not just a few tags here and there, it's a giant canvas, and not in a good way. I've heard the local tribe tried to clean it up, but keeps happening. It's just disrespectful. These places, they're part of our history and they deserve better. Just seems like some folks don't understand that. It's sad to see a piece of history turn into a place for people to leave their mark like this. You wouldn't do that in your own house, would you? Now, I'm gonna walk around here and just explore the buildings. I mean, they're pretty rough, like I said, but they even, I'll show you in the front, they were even repainted at one point. And it's just, the graffiti gets me. I really don't like the graffiti. I just wish they wouldn't do it to their own house or car. So I kind of wonder why people think they have to do it on other people's property. Kind of messed up. But just kind of looking around, I mean, I don't know, the old stuff does still intrigue me, even if it's torn, abandoned, and pretty bad shape, but you know, this still was a part of the history. Well, I'm just going to kind of walk around here and let you see. I don't know, it's kind of like the good, bad, and ugly sometimes. Unfortunately, that's kind of what happens sometimes. Some of the stuff on Route 66, I mean, it's a shame when people don't respect what's out here. I mean, this had to be a pretty cool place at one time. One neat thing, we're going to go on the other side, and they had classic Valentine diners. They were like kind of a mobile, they were able to move them in as a diner that was a cafe or diner. And on the other side, we'll actually see the remains of that. So, I'm going to head over, kind of going to the front here. And I'll put it in here in just a second so you can see it, but this thing was all repainted. The Hopi tribe had done a nice job and repainted the whole front of the building. And within a year, you can see the sign right there. This whole thing was repainted, nicely done, and people just have no respect. It really disturbs me that people don't care. But I don't know. Not a lot we can do about it, right? I mean, hopefully someday it'd be nice if we could get an anti-graffiti paint. That would be really nice. But I'm just showing you, this is the remains, this is the ruins. You know, so I will say though, the abandoned stuff is kind of intriguing. I don't know why. I mean, this was like something that when Route 66 was going by, or US Highway 66 as it's called, this would be a whole trading post here. And then you're gonna come over here, and this was part of the Valentine Diner that you're seeing right here. They made these, they shipped them all over the country. You kind of see the classic design right there. This is the Valentine Diner, this part. A lot of these have gotten saved and moved to other places a lot of times, but this one did. But they could basically have they could buy one of these and basically have a whole built restaurant, a little cafe or restaurant built. See a little better look at it here. I'm just going to kind of walk around, let you check it out and just kind of see what's here. It looks like they still got like the refrigerator, or I don't know what. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff still there, it looks like. Buildings are totally shot. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But just wanted to show you one part. This is just kind of one thing that's gone. I'll go ahead and hush a little bit. Kind of, when I finish looking around here. Hang on, we're going to be going to Two Guns next, and that's a really cool spot. There is a couple bad areas. Good, bad, and ugly again over there, but it is a lot more there to see on stuff. Now, Two Guns, it's a whole other story. This place has a reputation. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, but that's what makes it so interesting. It's a real slice of the Wild West with a twist. We're about to step into a ghost town with a past as colorful as a desert sunset. Walking here, you can actually see that is inside the buildings in the back. You can see Canon Diablo. There's a little graffiti here, but luckily the rocks don't really show off, aren't very good for it, so that's a positive on that. There's actually rumors that Billy the Kid once was in a building someplace out here at one point. Now look at these stone walls. You can just feel the history oozing out of them. This place was once a bustling trading post, a zoo, and even a gas station. But it's got a dark side too. In the 1920s, along came the Cundiff family. They built a trading post, a restaurant, a gas station, even a post office. There's a real oasis for travelers on National Trails Highway, which later became Route 66 in 1926. But then Harry E. Miller showed up. Now this guy was something else. He leased some of the land and turned it into a full-blown tourist attraction. He had a zoo with mountain lions, cougars, snakes, you name him. He claimed to be a full-blooded Apache, calling himself Chief Crazy Thunder. And the name Two Guns, well, Miller, he claimed he named it after the silent film star William Surrey Hart, the Two Guns Bill. But who knows if that's the real story. Miller was a character, that's for sure. Things took a dark turn in 1926 when Miller and Earl Cundiff got into dispute. Miller shot Cundiff dead. Can you imagine? Right here in the very spot? It's a chilling thought. But that wasn't the end of Miller's troubles. He was later mauled not once, but twice by his own mountain lion. And if that wasn't enough, he got bitten by a Gila monster. I guess you could say karma came back to bite him, literally. After all that, Miller decided to leave Two Guns and the state for good, but before he left, he took a bunch of valuable stuff with him. What a character. Then Louise Cundiff, she didn't give up. She rebuilt the trading post and kept things going. Two Guns thrived for a while, even had motels and campgrounds, but in 1971 the gas station burned down, and that was pretty much the end of it. And speaking of a gas station here, give me just a minute. I want to take a little closer look at that so you can see it. We're actually driving down the old Route 66 highway right here. There And speaking of that gas station, let's take a closer look. You see the remnants of it right here. Now it's just a shell covered in, well, you guessed it, graffiti. The same story as Twin Arrows. People come here and leave their marks like they own the place. Look over there. You'll even see just a little bit. We're going to show you an old swimming pool that's been turned into a canvas. It's a shame, really. This place had so much history and it's being treated like a blank wall. But it's still kind of interesting just walking around. Can you imagine this would be a busy gas station? Cars and trucks coming in, going everywhere. This was 50 years ago. This is when the classic cars were classic cars. Talking about a 65 Mustang, 69 Camaro. That's the kind of stuff they were driving back in the day. Those would be new cars back in the day when a lot of this was working. Now this right here is part of the swimming pool. I don't know, the swimming pool doesn't bug me as much, but I'm still not a fan of graffiti. You know, what do you guys think? The swimming pool doesn't seem historic to me, really, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I just still have a real problem with people going through and, you know, tagging all this stuff. Even on the old part of Two Guns, they were tagging a lot of it, and it's just a real shame to have people doing that. You know, it's, you know, you look around, you see it's just, I don't know, it is what it is. But this is also part of the history of Route 66, even though some of it's run down, some of it's, you know, I just kind of want to show you around and let you see what some of the stuff is here. Now that's actually the bridge. That bridge right there would be the Canyon Diablo Bridge. I believe this was Old Trails Highway that came back here, and you'll even see some of the other stuff we'll show you. That would be like, I think that was an old trading post. It had a dock on it. And the Canyon Diablo Bridge was Old Trails Highway, and then until 1937, I believe it was finally bypassed, and then they moved everything forward. But it's still kind of fun to look at. I love seeing you know, there's still a lot of the history here. You can see enough remains that, you know, what is. Now, if you look off over there, they would be, that would be the area of the Apache Death Caves on it. I guess the history of that is, from what I understand, I don't know if it's true or not, is that there were a bunch of Apache raiders and the Navajos trapped them in a cave, and that was kind of the story there. Oops. Now here I just want to show you, we're actually going to be driving over the bridge from the other side. This is from the front. You can go ahead and the mountain thing with the mountain lions on it, that building's back there. Like I said, it's a really cool bridge. You can drive across it. It was Old Trails Highway, Route 66 until 1937, and they bypassed this area. And what's really interesting is this bridge was probably a two-way bridge. That's what's kind of wild about it. That's just how narrow everything was. That really blew me away. But the Canyon Diablo is absolutely beautiful. I'll show you a little bit of that. Then there's that trading post again. I just want to kind of give you a feel. And then that's the very front up there that you can actually see that from the I-40. The bridge is pretty good shape. It's got a little wear and tear on it. It's what, almost 100 years old, so, or over 100 years old, so got to give it a little credit. There we go. Hand the camera to my wife so she can get on that side. I think right there that was like some kind of dock right there, I believe. You see to the left. And this was the building here, so it'd be right when they crossed over the bridge. They got to go to a trading post of some sort. I don't know if that was a gas station or what that was. There is a gas station further on, I'll show you. That was actually the remains right there of the, I think it was called the Cundiff gas station. I'm not sure. That was a gas station, though. It was a tower. And you can see the steps in it in just a little bit. We'll show you. This is the back section that you're looking at. This was all basically abandoned pretty much in 1937 when they moved the Route 66 got rerouted, so it got moved to the front. I'll try to get my finger out of the way there. Sorry about that. But this was actually the gas station here. And you got the tower. I think it's called the Cundiff Tower Station, I believe. I hope that's right. And then there's the stairs. You can see at the left where it just went right up. Sorry, we're driving, so just trying to get you a little rough there, but it's pretty cool. There's a lot there to see. Like I said, the gas station really intrigues me. And here's some of the other parts that overlooks the canyon. And you can kind of just see that really quick.